Hello, and welcome to July 2022's edition of Next Stop News. Here's what we'll be discussing in this month's installment. First of all, let's delve into New York City's newest subway car type. June 24th stood out as an important day in the history of the R211's development, as we not only received a deeper introspection into the interior design of the R211Ts thanks to an awesome photo revealed to us. Just look at it, it looks incredible. I can't wait for this thing. This thing is going to be literally amazing. But we also received some very important information regarding the timeline of the R211s as a whole. Here are the major takeaways. The MTA Capital Program Committee revealed that production sets are already under construction. This must be 4070 and up. A similar process was executed with the R179s, so this isn't too unexpected. However, they will not be arriving on MTA property to join the pilot set until the end of the year. The entire base order of R211As will be in service by January of 2025, which gives them 2 years to fully come in. The main goal of the R211A base order, 4060 to 4499, 440 cars, will be to retire all of the R46s on the A and C by the end of 2024, while allowing for 8th Avenue CBTC to kick in, with a fleet of R160s, R179s, and R211s. Testing for this program will begin from February 2024 onwards, and will be fully implemented by 2025. To my current understanding, 8th Avenue will be the next network to get CBTC, so the R211s will literally be built specifically for this, and deployed into the program. 20 cars, or 2 10-car trains, will be delivered, tested, and put into service per month, meaning that 24 R211A consists will enter service per year. Despite the R211As being federally funded, there are supply chain and labor shortages, left as crippling reminders of the pandemic's effects on the economy. If you want to read a little bit more about it, there will be an article in the main comment below. Meanwhile, the first R211T 4040 to 4049's delivery has been pushed back to October instead of June, when it was supposed to arrive, with the second set 4050 to 4059 arriving in December of 2022. This also delays their testing a bit, so I wouldn't expect them to fully enter service until the fall of 2023. Also, the R211S pilot will arrive in February of 2023. While the production cars will begin arriving in March of 2024, the bulk of the order will be in service by October of 2024. In total, the R211S order will be bringing 75 new cars to Staten Island, or 15 5-car trains in total. The main goal of the R211S order will be to wipe out all 64 R44 cars, or 16 4-car consists, in service to the Staten Island Railway. It is likely that the R211S will have several variations built in it to accommodate the system which it will serve. And those R44s on Staten Island have been living for a damn long time. They have got, literally the best string of luck I've ever seen. The first option order of R211s, or 640 cars, will become partially or fully articulated if the R211T testers are successful. This order could be exercised as soon as this winter. The destination for these cars is up in the air. Some say Concourse, while others say Jamaica is getting them. The latter yard receiving them, as much as I hate to say it, is a strong possibility. Some people could even foresee Coney Island receiving them. But wherever they go, the purpose of this order will still be to retire the remaining R46s at the time, which will be solely based out of Coney Island Yard. The Coney Island R46s will stick around till about 2027. They can either be replaced by R68s from Concourse, or R160s from Jamaica, or the R211s themselves. I'm not calling anything yet, as we simply do not know. This is a wait-and-see game. The MTA can literally do anything. Remember, no reefing. These will be trucked off and sent to metal companies like the R32s, which made it into 2022. Not the first batch of R32s that died in 09, but the second batch of R32s that made it into this year. I know, it's disappointing that we'll have to wait longer than intended for each variation of the R211, but it will be worth it to see all three types serving well in the future. The longer it takes now, the less issues these cars will face in the future, hopefully. Right? Now, I know why people say that it's a possibility that the R211 first option could go to Jamaica. Reason being because of the wider doors and articulation. Queens Boulevard is a heavily served corridor, so therefore it would make sense for a train with wider doors and articulation to go to Jamaica. But at the same time, it is the MTA. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want. No destination is set in stone except for that of the R211As and R211Ss. As with much of the information which I have received and am able to disperse to you, credit goes to Brian for this pivotal information. It is indeed very helpful. Shout out to you for providing useful gems of knowledge. Let's talk about the pilot unit itself. 4060 to 4069 has still been vacillating between Pitkin and Coney Island, likely receiving various inspections, evaluations, and component upgrades, while performing its burn-in tests and simulated stop and announcement testing since June 1st, without ever having to open the doors, probably due to the uptick in vandalism and subway surfing. Can't take chances anymore. Meanwhile, I'm hearing rumors of the 30-day in-service test being pushed back from summer 2022 to November, but at this point it's a wait-and-see game, as long as it takes. With the second option order of 437 cars coming in after the first, the R211's order isn't expected to be fully completed until 2028. Again, if the T's do well, this order will also become articulated, partially or fully. Some feel that it could possibly retire the R68s, though it is highly unlikely. Remember, we're still playing catch-up on fleets that we lost from 2010, with some R179s filling in for gaps created by the retirement of the R44s, and some R211s being able to fill in for gaps created by the R32's retirement. Therefore, it would be unwise to retire extra equipment with this order. If anything, I could see some R68s or R68As being shelved into long-term storage, to be reactivated when necessary, as the forums have proposed. However, this order can cause a fleet expansion for 2nd Avenue Subway's Phase 2, which was already funded a few months back, and potential expansion for the BMT Eastern Division, or other projects such as the Interborough Express if necessary. Concerning the Interborough Express, we now have more information concerning the nature of its benefits. Here were some more takeaways from the MTA's May 19th video. The Interborough Express will provide passenger service for the first time since 1924, connecting 17 subway lines and 29 neighborhoods in 39 to 45 minutes, greatly benefiting the almost 1 million people that live in its proximity. It reminds me of the famous City Hall to Harlem in 15 minutes slogan in 1904. It will reduce the need to transfer between lines while simultaneously offering new connections. When fully formed, it will connect to 12 bus routes in Queens, overlapping with the benefits of the Queens bus redesign. As stated in February's update, the Interborough Express would connect 14 miles of eastern Queens and Brooklyn. It will either be comprised of modified conventional commuter railroad cars, a light rail network, or bus rapid transit. Light rail is said to be the most effective both time and passenger-wise, though a bus network is the most flexible. With the commuter network, there'd be less track infrastructure changes. Either way, a massive fleet expansion project should be in order for this. During the environmental feasibility study phase, the MTA will tackle the logistics of station placement. The IBX is something that I've wanted for a while, without even knowing it, because of the fact that the closest thought I had of it was a lack of a connection between two of my favorite routes, the J and 7, and if there was a connection, how happy I would be about it. I would say that the Interborough Express will fulfill what the Interborough bus routes couldn't. There will supposedly be an environmental review in 2023. I wonder how long it'll take to complete this project if and when it ever gets up in the air. Now, for R32s. The R32s are continually being sent out, which is making room for the R211s when they arrive in droves this fall. Nostalgia rides. On May 18th, after taking months to evaluate the successful aspects demonstrated by the R32 retirement runs, the New York Transit Museum elected to bring back nostalgia rides for the summer of 2022, but for a hefty price. These rides were by no means for the general public, but for highly paying customers and members of the Transit Museum. The first ride was already conducted on June 4th, with a low V on the 2 line, running from the Old South Ferry Loop to Wakefield and back, which ran through the 239th Street yard as well. It was scheduled from about 9:30 a.m. to about 2 p.m. and ran from 10 o'clock to 11:45. Though I'm recording this script on July 3rd, I am assuming that the R109 trip has already been conducted by the time this video released. The second trip occurred on July 10th, early in the morning. It was an R109 from 96 and 2nd Avenue to Coney Island, which left 96th Street at 10 a.m. and departed Coney Island at 4 p.m., arriving at 175th Street George Washington Bridge bus terminal. The last and final trip of the summer will be taken to the Rockaways by rail on August 13th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Before these events occurred, the R109s had been moving around quite a lot. For example, on May 4th, they were spotted on the Culver line on the G. On June 28th, they were spotted on the BMT Jamaica line. And on June 29th, they were spotted at 9th Avenue on the BMT West End line. And credit to Patty Beast for this awesome photo. It even has the nostalgic 15, which reminds you of the BMT Eastern Division signage, showing you where it had been a day before. On June 23rd, it was announced that the historically famous R33 mainline Redbird car at Kew Gardens, 9075, is currently up for auction. With all the memories that I have of that train, it'll be a real shame to know that it will be gone soon. But it's a relief to know who it will be going to, supposedly Mr. Railfan, a very worthy buyer. 181st Street on the A line is currently slated to close for repairs through the duration of late summer and early fall, namely from August 3rd onward. This was brought to my attention on May 23rd, about 2 months in advance. Pretty much the same rehabs that the 1 train received, but on the A this time. It really shows how deep the stations on the northern portions of both lines were constructed, as almost all of them facilitate the use of elevators. Due to this construction, the M191, or something very similar to it, might be making a potential comeback. Concourse will be receiving aesthetic work and repairs until 2024. The most major consequence of these construction efforts will be the complete closure of the D-Line's northern terminus, Norwood and 205th Street, next summer. When it occurs, this will virtually do away with express service on Concourse, causing the D to terminate at the B's terminal at Bedford Park Boulevard, thereby causing the B to not be able to proceed into the Bronx, but instead be capped at its midday terminus of 145th Street. Again, credit to Brian for this information. The J train, due to construction work, has been truncated to 121st Street as of July 1st, and the J99 was activated as a result. This route is based out of New York City Transit's Jamaica Depot with occasional Queens Village trippers, and it is trackable on both bus time and train speed. Into Forest Hills in 2023 to 2024. On May 12th, it was announced that the N train will be going to Forest Hills in 2023, while the W gets suspended, as a result of a future long-term construction program on the Astoria branch. I hope it's related to Astoria CBTC, but I could be wrong. If I'm correctly informed, it will be running on the local track like the R, and due to the requirements of CBTC, it will be using R160A2 and R160B Alstoms and Siemens from the E, F, and R. If this is the case, what will happen to the SMEs that the N uses, such as the R46s, R68s, and R68As? My guess is that some of them will either be shelved temporarily or could go to different lines to boost service on the B, D, and Q. Transit safety concern. Myrtle Avenue went viral on June 2nd thanks to an exploding wire cable underneath the elevated structure. This occurred due to the age of the equipment itself, being a power cable installed in the 1960s. However, though this is a small incident in the grand scheme of things, this highlights the importance of structural and electrical construction on subway lines. This is a much broader issue, as most of the subway's infrastructure is very old, due to the subway itself being up in age. Recall that on March 8th, the MTA received a $750 million boost from President Biden's COVID relief plan. This will help fund a lot of projects such as the 2nd Avenue subway, as well as the funding of future orders and expansion and electrification of the MTA's bus fleet. Hopefully with the COVID relief plan, the 2nd Avenue subway will be done in time for the second option order of R211. On May 2nd, the MTA got a new president, Richard Davey, who used to be in charge of the MBTA as the CEO of the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. M8s on CT. On May 23rd, the M8s officially traversed upon uncharted territory. They entered revenue service on CT Rail Shoreline East region. Governor Lamont was on the revenue train. This is an incredible breakthrough because this is the first time that an electric train has been spotted on this branch. Concerning the M9s, the MTA initially wanted all 202 in service by April, but only 132 are on property as of June 28th. The other 70 are behind schedule, being halted due to part shortages, and are expected to be in service by September of 2023. This could lead to a possible M3 comeback for East Side Access in December, which I will address in a future update due to time constraints. This is related to delays in the R211 order, as is from the same manufacturer, Kawasaki. It's caused by a massive labor shortage at Nebraska, a plant which would lose about 45 employees monthly. Kawasaki's Yonkers plant also helps to modify the cars, so there could be some still being worked on up there as well. On May 26, it was announced that PATH would be receiving 72 brand new PA5 cars. The PATH would also start running 9-car sets in the future, meaning that the 72 cars coming in will allow for 8 additional trains, increasing capacity between World Trade Center and Newark by 40%, while the current PA5s PATH has will finish undergoing necessary maintenance and repairs. Credit to Orion 7s Forever for sharing this info. Thank you for tuning in to the subway portion of July's Next Stop News. There is a lot to cover, and by a lot I mean a lot. And since I've been away for a while, I have a lot on my plate. Therefore, I had to split July's update into 4 parts. This is simply part 2. Thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for parts 3 and 4, which will cover other systems as well as future bus orders. Please subscribe, stay blessed, stay healthy, stay hyped, and thank you for riding with Next Stop News. And I'll see you guys next time. E.